for the ICTA Awareness Session, let me invite the logistic team lead of the IEEE Innovation Nation Sri Lanka 2021, Mr. Mohammed Jassim. Mr. Jassim, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are staying safe. First of all, I'm sorry I'm not able to on my camera due to bad weather here. And I warmly welcome to the ICTA Awareness Session of Innovation Nation Sri Lanka 2021. Hope you all joined previous session in INSL and found it interesting and useful as well. So today we are going to have another insightful session on which is conducted under the topic opportunities provided by ICTA for young entrepreneurs is going to be very useful for your entrepreneurial journey. Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka is the head ICT agency of Sri Lanka and is responsible for implementing all ICT projects initialized by the government, and it aims to transform Sri Lanka towards a creative knowledge-based country which having lots of opportunities for the entrepreneurs. And to enhance your knowledge on this topic, today we have a very special speaker with us, Mrs. Tamasha Fernando, who is the Senior Manager, Startup Ecosystem Development at Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka. And also we warmly welcome Mr. Akil Ahmed, Executive Startup Ecosystem Development of ICTA Sri Lanka, and our very own IEEE Student Activities Chair, Mr. Dhammika Marasinghe. Hope you all find this session very informative and useful for your entrepreneurial journey ahead. Thank you. Over to you, Safi.
Thank you, Mr. Jassim. Now, our speaker for the day is a well experienced, self motivated individual who is a strong team player with expert knowledge in community level intervention. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing a bit of your valuable time for us. She has graciously agreed to impact with us the wisdom she has gathered over the years. We hope that this will aid you to pursue your passion as an entrepreneur. Now, let me introduce to you our special guest of the day. She is none other than Mrs. Tamasha Fernando, Senior Manager, Startup Ecosystem Development at Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka. Please welcome Mrs. Tamasha Fernando with a virtual round of applause on the spotlight. Mrs. Tamasha, the spotlight is all yours to set off the energy and enthusiasm in those who are already dreaming of becoming entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Safni, and thank you, IEEE organizing, IEEE and INSL organizing committees for inviting me to do this guest speech on how ICTA and the startup ecosystem can facilitate and support you on your entrepreneurial journey. Am I allowed to share the screen now, organizing committee?
Yeah, ma'am, you can share it now.
Right. Can everyone see my screen? It is visible, right? The screen?
Yeah, ma'am, we can see.
Okay. So even though the topic says that how ICTA can help you or assist you in developing your startup journey, I would say it not just ICTA but the whole startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka can facilitate you. ICTA is just one, I would say, one of the main institution in that whole network who can facilitate you in different means and different and by making different connections, I would say. And also, and the reason being that ICTA is anyways playing a pivotal role in with all these ecosystem enablers around the network, so that we have made a lot of connections throughout the network in such a manner that we can facilitate you in every mean you want get support from the ecosystem. So so my was it intention through this particular presentation would be to kind of elaborate what the startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka and what ICTA does in it, and how you can get the support from the startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka to build up or level up your business idea, or if you have the business, how to grow it. So that's the basic idea of this particular presentation today. Starting on why we say that technology, that startup and innovation is a key for the next, I would say, the wave. As you can see, 2010, it's the wave is mainly on outsourcing. Second wave, starting in 2016, is about product engineering, and 2020 onwards, it's all about startup and innovation. And startup and innovation indexes have become one of the key determinants of countries' success and countries' ability to thrive in the ecosystem, thrive in the industry, especially in the technology industry. When you say technology industry, that includes all other verticals. Like, for example, it can be agri-tech, it can be med-tech, it can be ed-tech, it can be any fintech, any other tech. So technology has become a cross-cutting industry, which you can, engage with, or I would say engage with, or kind of merge with any other vertical to develop your startup. So that's why that is one of the main reasons that technology, startup and innovation has become one of the key things in the technology industry, and also has become the third wave, which is targeted at hitting the 3 billion of export revenue coming into the country by 2024. Okay, so as I spoke, ICTA just one main entity that can assist you throughout your journey, and here you can see the network we have created, and this is just local. We don't have any foreign collaboration here. This is a local ecosystem that we are working on, and this has been developed further. I'm sorry if anything is missing in this particular network, because that is growing day by day. Many interventions are coming, many startup ecosystem enablers are coming into the page. So it's a growing network, I would say, around the ICTA. So since ICTA has been mandated by the government operating under Ministry of Technology, we have other access to almost all the entities, and we are like collaborating with anyone, any startup ecosystem enabler who uh, wants to do something for the entrepreneurship ecosystem at any stage. It can be funding, it can be seed, it can be programs, it can be mentoring, it can be any regulatory aspect, it can be policy changes. So ICTA always plays a part in whatever the interventions that happening inside this particular ecosystem. And this is what we do as of now at ICTA, starting from the startup SL. I'm sorry, the number has changed. Now it's 580 plus as of now. Startup SL is the biggest startup platform in Sri Lanka, which has more than 580 technology startups registered in the website. And also you will get a lot of facilities. You will get exposed to different benefits, and you will get information about the tenders and bids where you can bid, especially for the government or any other entity through the platform if you're engaged with a startup SL. And this is one of the key achievement we had last week, that these government entities who does procurement less than 2 million can directly get it sourced from the startup SL website. So it's one of the key achievement that we had last year, because the one of the key things is that startup wants to get engaged with the government entities, and the government entities feel a little reluctant to give their jobs to the startups at the first go. So this particular, I would say, the circular approved by the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury as well, allow the government entities to source startups, and also if that is less than if the procurement is less than 2 million, they have to source from the startup SL platform, which is the platform for startups in Sri Lanka, I would say. And the spiralation, which we started about 11 years ago, I would say. Uh, yeah, 11 years ago. The oldest um, seed grant that Sri Lanka has for startups. Uh, Initially, it was like 500,000 back in 2010. Now that has grown to 1.5 million grant provided for early stage startups. And for this year, we incubated 20 startups. And as of now, from the beginning of the program, as of now, we have given given the grant to more than 100 startups through the spiralation program. And this is not equity based, not a loan, or not not equity based, not a loan. It's just money that we are giving out for the technology startups, which are extraordinary. And the reason why we take less numbers for this particular program is that we do seek extraordinary startups, not just me too, but the startups who are in the blue ocean, and also very innovative ideas that can scale to a global level. And the market criteria is pretty tough. I would say that's why we have less numbers, and also we want to grow them, we want to build them, and we want to grow them bigger, not locally but globally, and giving very focused attention to each of the startups. So that's why we are taking less number per year. Now this time it's 20 startups. This year we incubated 20 startups through this program, giving 1.5 million for each. And this is engagement with PwC. I will say this is two of the policy level interventions which ICTA has embarked on. One is both on, I would say, creating a conducive environment for the startups to thrive. One is removing the blockers from the government. That is the bullet point number 1, startup impediments report, or else we call it the startup friendly government report, which you can, if you are interested, you can easily download it from our startup SL website. It's available. A public version is available. There's a version which is confidential, which has detailed information, but there's a public version available, which you can always go and download and see what are the barriers that the startups usually have from the government authorities when they are start at the point where they start the business, and also when they're going to thrive alongside the journey. And ICTA through this report is trying to engage with almost all the entities, that has about 14 plus government authorities listed out who are responsible for these impediments faced by the startups, and ICTA now working with all of these authorities to resolve those impediments for the startups, which is progressing very rapidly these days, because there are a lot of expert committees has been formed, and this report has been taken up by the deregulation committee appointed by His Excellency the President to look over and get the president's office also to support in this particular intervention. So we have the backing of both the President Office, the Regulation Committee, to support this particular intervention and remove all these red tapes for the startups. And the alternative credit evaluation framework. So it's kind of a new term, might be a new term for you. So if I put it in a simple way, the current loan facilities offered by the banks usually ask for physical collaterals, right? If you there were instances where a person in the Handia Kade will will find it really easy to get a loan than a technology company owner who's performing really well, right? Because they have a lot of physical collaterals where the technology companies doesn't have much, because almost all the servers are on cloud, nothing is tangible, documents are on cloud, contracts are all soft copies, nothing is tangible, transactions happens online. So there's no such, physical evidences, very less infrastructure, and there's very limited physical component, physical collaterals that they have to show and get the loan from the banks. Right. So these technology companies has been marginalized because of this reason, and only because of this reason when they're trying to get loan from the banks. And many of the banks refuse to offer the loans because of this physical collateral component, because they don't understand this how the technology company works, and the reason why they don't have physical collateral as opposed to others, right? So what we did was that we developed a different credit evaluation mechanism, which has no allocation, no scoring being allocated for the physical collaterals, but instead we had some components which are specifically for technology companies that they can score from. So that is a new thing that we are trying to implement into the banking system, so that the technology startups and the companies can easily get the loans from the banks without putting their house or own house or car or whatever as the physical collateral component to get the loan, right? So if I tell you the success of this particular intervention, we launched this in May 2021, and as of now we have granted over 150 million for technology companies through this scheme without any physical collaterals. So now the banks are moving ahead. Now the banks, kind of mentality is like kind of changing towards and to support the startups, which are technology startups, and they're trying to get along with ICT to develop frameworks for different things which can facilitate the startups and at a long run. And this collaboration with the Asia Berlin Senate has resulted in a lot of opportunities for Sri Lanka and Sri Lanka startups. Even last month we had a competition where three companies, technology startups from Sri Lanka, got the opportunity to have a virtual soft landing for Germany, which the Germany embassy, Sri Lankan embassy in Germany, support for their expansion also, and also they have a entity like us in Germany called NPAC, who support these startups to scale their market in Germany and they expand their business. And also we will get the digital nomad, the first digital nomad coming in Sri Lanka as well from Germany via this particular collaboration with the Asia Berlin, with the Asia Berlin Senate, and that is kind of success. And again, that individual is someone who's passionate towards entrepreneurship as well, and we are much delighted to have him here, because that's kind of a I would say a knowledge sharing thing that we would be going through to further escalate our startups, and also have kind of a startup exchange happening between Sri Lanka and Germany. And the startup Genome report, in a nutshell, this is what it does, and that in fact startup Genome is a study that is done by a world-known group called Startup Genome, and in the country assessment done for the Sri Lanka by the startup Genome, they have identified three main categories that Sri Lanka should focus on. One is we need to escalate the number of startups in Sri Lanka, especially homegrown startups, and we need to increase funding, access to funding for all early stage startups, and also we should increase the quality of the startups coming from the Sri Lanka. So when you say the startup quality, it is the level of knowledge that they have, uh, the scalability, globally scalability of the startups are the key criteria. So that's why at the beginning of my story, I was telling that we are looking for the startups which can go global, not local. So we've been trying this out for about good 10 years to get the local connectedness done. Now we are in the phase of getting into a more wider reach, and it's called the global connectedness for all these startups. That's why ICTA is now actively working on making a lot of international connections and bringing a lot of international experts, international mentors, international collaborators, international startup accelerators into Sri Lanka, and also send the people or the startups in Sri Lanka for all these outside interventions to have that merge happen and have that kind of blend happen with the foreign collaborators. So that is the only way that we see which can scale the startups to a global level. Moving on to 2021 to 2024, these are the programs that we have planned as of now on the entrepreneurship education field only. We have another set of programs in the so ICTA. We have two different program areas called entrepreneurship education and value creation. These are the programs that we have planned in the entrepreneurship education pillar. One is the 10,000 Ideas campaign. You might have heard on this as well, where we scale anyone who's coming in from a tech business idea to a business plan level, and this step pre-incubator program which accelerate the business plan to a registered business. And there's this entrepreneurial university framework that we're trying to get into universities, where we think that the university should own a strategy for entrepreneurship, and it should self-sustain without our intervention. That is the I would say long-term goal of entrepreneurial universities. First 1-2 years we might be hand-holding, but being entrepreneurial university is one of the key things that that the university should own and run by themselves. That's why I said should be self-sustained by the university in the long run. And we might have we will have an index for these universities as well, to measure the university success by the startup output. That is one of the indexes coming in 2020 or 2022 or 2023 as one of the indexes which are measuring the university success. And the Knowledge Hub will be kind of and I would say automated process of taking all these journey of an entrepreneur. If you have a business idea, Knowledge Hub will be the place for you to go to develop your idea at your own pace. So you don't need to attend to any programs happening across the island physically. You can self-learn, you can self-develop, you can get your business plan or whatever the business idea validated from a mentor. You can talk to a mentor virtually, you can get your ideas mentored virtually. Everything happen virtually at your own pace. And this will be one of the one of the platforms which will be open for disabled or differently able community as well, because they might not be able to attend to these physical programs, and sometimes even the virtual programs we have might not support them. So this particular platform will support them as well. Right. Moving on to the next. So this slide brief what the ecosystem support you by through mentoring and facilitation by the accelerators, co-working spaces and hubs, investors, and also supported by the government and private sector companies. Right. If you can see the right, this is the global connectedness which we have achieved so far. We have investors, we have partnership, we have events, we have boot camps. These are all global. So investors, International Network, Avishkar, Dialogue Innovation Fund, Tavistock, partnership, the USL Innovation Partnership, in fact, the Asia Berlin Senate Partnership, Magic Malaysia, Nexus Delhi, Seed Stars. We have Techstars go here as well. Now they're in partnership with us. And we have Vadvani Foundation also in partnership with us. Sorry, I've not mentioned it here. We have T-Hub from India as well in partnering, in partnership with us on these interventions. And the events like Disrupt Asia for YFN, Oslo Innovation Week, InnoFest, Web Summit, Texos, and boot camps, Techstars, Startup Weekend. You might have gone to and you might have heard about the Startup Weekends, EOGSEA, Founders Institute, Startup Grind, Startup Charles Up, are the key programs that are running inside Sri Lanka with the affiliation of foreign collaborators. And as I mentioned before, this is what Startup Genome says. One is the grow number of startups, especially the homegrown startups. Two, the increase the startup quality, especially the founder know-how and the scalability of the particular startup. And increase the early stage funding, which is seed funding, you could say. So this is what the Startup Genome support. So whatever the interventions which ICTA is doing are aligning to this. So that's why we want, in supporting the point number one, is the reason why we want to, we want to support all these interventions like this, and also we want many community building entities to run programs on entrepreneurship at the ground level. And okay, this is the startup funnel. So Sri Lanka has a goal from His Excellency the President that we should have at least 1,000 tech startups in operation by 2024. So all our programs are geared toward this, right? So we have inspirational level programs like this. We have ideation camps where we, build ideas into business canvases, and then business canvases transferred into registered businesses, and that is where the 1,000 tech startups come from. And we assume that 700 of those 1,000 startups will go into better markets with rapid acceleration, and 20 and 200 out of those will go into global, will reach global, or maybe go into exits. This is the startup part, starting from the idea, launch, growth, and recognition. So ideation level is where you are now, and next is the launch, and then growth is finding and growing your business into locally or internationally, and get your business recognized in local platforms and also global platforms. Okay, the idea stage. This is what we will have. These are the entities, and I would say entities and kind of modalities that you can get support if you're in the idea stage. if you want to get connected to or listen to the media of what is happening in the startup ecosystem, we have a lot of Facebook groups and pages. We have uh, uh, pages like we have entities like um, README, Raw, Pulse, Articulate. We have a lot of media-driven, startup media-driven entities whom you can get the support from. They all have Facebook pages. You can simply sign up and get the information. And meetups, if you are interested physically meeting or virtually meeting like-minded set of people, mentors, and get yourself inspired, get connected to the community, meetups is the way to go. So you will have Colombo meetups. If you just Google, you will see a list of. If you just Google and see what is Colombo meetups, you will see a list of meetups that is happening around Colombo, where you can go and participate if physical participation is allowed, or else virtually. And we have Startups Week, Startup Weekend, Startup Weekend, and Google I/O. Many of you have heard Startup SL, community building interventions, and Reality Hub community. And if you are interested in education on the startups, you will have to get engaged with startup caravan, HackerDev, run by UNDP, IEEE Innovation Nation, this particular program, Reality Hub, ICE, Sima Launchpad, that is where you can get the education from. And inspirational talk, if you want to get inspired, you can participate in all these events, mainly for the South Asia Conference and Innovation Festival, which is the one of the biggest startup events happening in Sri Lanka. We couldn't do it this year because of this pandemic situation, but it has been in place from 2016 onwards. A very grand event, a very big event where almost all the ecosystem players in Sri Lanka and all Southeast Asia representation coming into one place physically. And Spike Colombo, Startup Green, Entrepreneur Hub meetups, YAL meetups, her Idea Mart. They have a lot of inspirational talks or networking, inspirational talks or networking opportunities that you can get exposed to. And finally, if you're in the ideation stage, building and validating your idea is a key thing. So imagine if Startup Weekend, even IEEE Innovation Nation, you can get your idea validated from HackX, HackX Junior, if you're a school student, Angel Hack, Shikordras, Idea Mart Hackathon. There are hackathons run by Pan Accelerator, and there are ideathons run by Ed Scale Up, ISAC. There are many entities in this ecosystem who's working in the ground level to get your idea developed and also validated from. Don't worry about participating, don't worry about if your participation make anything for you for this program, but you can take my word, all these interventions are run by very experienced organizers, and also you will get support from a very experienced mentors in the industry. All these interventions, they have really good experienced mentors and also trainers where you can get the support from. Right, this is the lean canvas. So why I'm putting it here now? So if you are in the idea stage, this is one of the key things that you need to focus on is filling your lean canvas. You might also have a session in that. I'm not sure. You can check with the organizers. If not, just get to an organizer. I'm sure you will have it. This is the lean canvas which you need to fill your idea or the solution. First is the problem. Second, you need to identify the customer segments. Then, what is your unique value proposition? What makes you different from the others? And then the solution. unfair advantage. So you will get all the definitions here. I'm not reading out everything. And then to revenue streams and the cost structure of the programs, key metrics, and the channels to reach the customers. So this is one of the key canvas canvases that you need to get that you need to fill before you running and going into any other accelerated mode. This is one of the best document that you need to have in hand if you have a business idea, and if you want to, and if you are so passionate enough in converting that particular business idea into a business. So if you don't have this particular canvas, we can share that as well, or else you can simply Google and get this download. It's freely available in the Google. Just Google lean canvas, you'll get a template. So try to fill it, and also even before you get it filled by yourself, it's always advisable to go through a training on how to fill this properly, how to define a problem, how to define a solution, how to define a USP, how to identify the customer segments. If you have a deep dive session on this particularly in Canvas, it would take about good 1 to 1.5 hours to describe and fill the 9 pages, even with a very well experienced trainer, right? And you need to have it just not it's not just filling up the cages, but you need to think properly. You need to have your research done. You need to have your competitor analysis done, and you need to have all these information together to fill this, not just filling the cages. You have a lot of homework before this. So that's why it's very recommended to go through a training before you going ahead and filling this particular canvas, even if you can download it from the Google. Or else if you can't go for a training, or if you don't have, at least search for some YouTube tutorials, good good from the good sources, YouTube tutorials, and watch some YouTube tutorials before you going ahead and fill this. And the launch stage, the second stage, and that has you can prepare for seed. We have seed accelerators, we have pitching and showcase, we have workspaces. And for seed, preparing for seed is that I mean, if you have an idea, if you have a business idea, if you go and pitch in front of an accelerator, it doesn't it's not 100% sure that you will get the money from the accelerator, right? There should be certain things that you need to polish up before you going ahead and pitch in front of an investor or an accelerator. So that we should have so we have certain entities who are making you ready to pitch for these accelerators, right? So if I brief you from the beginning, we have community building entities who will build your idea into a business canvas level, and we have another set of people who will groom you from your business canvas up until a point where you yourself be ready to pitch in front of accelerators and investors, and then the accelerators will take you forward, and then there'll be the next phases happening, growing global, and scaling locally and globally, and expanding your business, your physical space, and grow your team. Then all that happens. So preparing for seed. So Mora Ventures, ID Code Sprint Venture Engine Lead Program. We have STEP also coming here. STEP program, which I mentioned you before, run by ICTA, is one of the main programs we are running now, which is again preparing for seed, or preparing yourself for the investors. And the seed accelerators, since they give money and they give training, they basically accelerate your growth. So as I mentioned, Spiralation is something run by ICTA, John Keel's X, Startup Engine, Thema Slingshot, Startup X Foundry, Techstars, T-Stars. So we have these accelerators available in Sri Lanka, who does a really brilliant job, uh, who uh, can support these early stage startup. And we have land also, which like the ticket size is a bit high, but again, there's support for the startups through crowdfunding. And pitching and showcase. So we have again Disrupt Asia. They have a pitching competition as well. Mentioning uh, Infidel Startup Pavilion, CSAS, IEEE, and yeah, IEEE. Also, and also we have uh, ISEC. We have a lot of interventions like EdScale, Pan Accelerator, um, IIT First. So there are a lot of interventions happening on this pitching and showcasing segment as well. So if you're in touch with all these networks and all these interventions or connected to these at least connected with these Facebook groups, you will get to know everything and you can easily participate. And going and pitching in any of these entities, if it doesn't cost you anything, right? It just, exposure and maturity you will gain when you try to pitch in all these entities. From each competition that you will participate, you will get mature and mature, because you will get a lot of comments received from the judges who are very who are experts and are veterans in the industries. So at least make sure, even if you fail, just make sure that you participate and pitch, which will your confidence simultaneously, and also you get better feedback from the experts who are listening to you when you're pitching your business plans. And when you grow again a little bit ahead, we have workspaces. Workspaces in the sense, we call it co-working spaces as well. So the reason why we want to have workspaces to support the startup is that if a startup requires to have a physical space, and many of the startups doesn't have, but those who want to have a physical space, we have workspaces who you can get uh, get few seats at a seat rate, right? And so if you're, for an example, if you want to get a building, maybe say 100 square feet building rented or floor space rented in somewhere in Colombo, it costs a lot of money, which cannot be bared by a startup, right? So that's why places like Hatch, Colombo Cooperative Square Hub, uh, situated in Colombo and very metropolitan areas in the country, offered these workspaces at a seat rate. So for an example, if it's Hatch, it's like 15,000, 10,000, 20,000, depending on the requirement. If you have just 3 people working on this, it just, multiply the number of people who will be sitting in the workspace, multiplied by the per seat rate. And along with that, you get Wi-Fi, you get meeting spaces, you will get a cafeteria, you will get auditoriums, you will get all the facilities which you can find in a normal office, right? Even to have your business meetings, and you will get the address in Colombo, address in Colombo or any metropolitan area, and pretty much easy to find by anyone. So that is the necessity of workspaces for the startups, and that is very much affordable and quite a good thing for the startups also, because in workspaces, it's not just you will have set of people who have like multiple number of startups in a particular workspace where you can get engaged with the like-minded people, and also have mergers, you can have acquisitions, you can build diversified products by connecting to this like-minded community, and working together with them. Um, this is the growth stage. This is something that we will I would say once you set up and you have your business up and running well, and when you are registered, when you have registered, you seek for further funding, right? So as I said, Lanka Angel Network is predominantly for that when you are a very established startup with a business registration. So because Lanka Angel Network ticket size is a bit high, and even Spiralation, they have a bit, uh, they have a seed funding, but uh, they have early stage funding, but they are more into very established startups now, because that particular program is also again growing. So that's why I put Spiralation in both early stage startup funding and growth stage funding as well. Uh, and Crowd and Social Innovation Fund, John Kear's X, BOV Capital. All these entities are like, if that is a really, really good idea, even they don't have a registered business, they are willing to fund. If they do see the potential, if they do see the commitment from the founder, and if they do see that particular idea is very scalable, globally scalable, of course they'll go ahead and fund. And if that is fall in the intermediate stage, again they will fund, but then they will should have their business registration and all the pre-eligibility criteria to be eligible for the funding. And when you are expanding ahead, expanding a bit more from the uh, seed stage, uh, from the co-working space, I would say, if your team become bigger, you will see another set of, I would say, physical infrastructure coming into play, like Orion City, Trace Expert City, WTC, Marker Building, HNB Towers. So that is more into the expanded businesses or the startups, which are in the growth stage, or we would say scale ups for these startups. We call it scale ups. And um, this is, um, so as I mentioned, these are the things, these are the entities that you can easily get connected to when you are trying to do Global Techstars Accelerator, Vadvani Foundation, PTAP, and Station Curator, Y Combinator Business School, Founding Skills, PDB, Impact, and Digital Nomad. Then uh, get some help from Digital Nomad who are working in the entrepreneurship space. Yes, we can support as well. And this Digital Nomad and entrepreneurship visas is one of two things that we are currently working on getting more business people into the, not business, I would say startup, passionate startup people into Sri Lanka. And the recognition stage, um, as you can see, these are the awards, type of awards that we have in Sri Lanka. We have Extra Asia, they have a competition, and there'll be award for them. And it's a package, actually, not just award. It's a package, comes along with that, where you get free co-working spaces. You will get free market access. It's a package with funding also coming along with that. And land meetups, NBQSA, National Best Quality Software Award, ISA Bimani, SAT01 Award, SASCOM Innovation Summit, GBG, CSSL ICT Award. So there are a lot of, there are more than this actually now happening in Sri Lanka. So there are a lot of uh, entities or events that you can, participate and get your startup recognized and also gain mileage over that. Um, and if I give you kind of a synopsis, what Sri Lanka, the verticals that Sri Lanka has been focusing so far, uh, the fintech, insurtech, high tech, drones, e-commerce, education, and there are a lot of other areas as well. But let me show you by the name of the startups and their area. So fintech, insurtech, you can see the number of startups having here. This should be updated. This is the latest report we got in 2019, I guess, quarter 4 of 2019. and we should be getting another report by the end of 2021. So as and when we got the report, we will update this. These are the startups we have in fintech and insurtech, travel tech, and e-commerce and retail. We see a lot of startups, logistics and transport, high tech, drones, IoT, ag tech, health tech, education, edtech, you could say, jobs and gig economy. And these are like tech startups, software and development. All the others are like vertical specific startups. Okay, this is the regional distribution. As per the statistics we got from the Startup SL platform, you see many number of businesses are from the Western province, and the second goes to the Northern province, then to the other provinces. So ICTA is anyway having this regional approach as well in place to develop the other regions as well, because for the time being and even the recent and even the past, Western province and the Colombo metropolitan area has been one of the not one of the key area for anything, even for the startups. And because of IT Hub and the big startups like and like not big, I would say, the startups around it has facilitated the startup ecosystem in the northern region. So we have the second large startup ecosystem in the northern province, and rest of the provinces become the next year of the development. And but I was stressing on networking and get connected to like-minded people. How you should be get connected to people, get connected to mentors, get connected to like-minded people, and it's all about networking. So if you have an idea, don't think that I should not speak of this idea to anyone else. If they can copy that, then they can get the idea turned into a business before me, right? So let it be you. You have to share it. You have to talk to it, not sharing in the sense like sharing in the sense like you have to talk to people. You have to create your poison inside them. You need to collect smart people around you, and you need to get connected to almost all these individual mentors, entities, and uh, mentors, like-minded people around you to make your business successful. And also, if you want to diversify, if you want to have a merge venture coming out from you along with another like-minded um, very matching co-founder, then again that happens. So that's why networking is so important, and try to talk to many people as much as possible. Meet people, listen and learn. You don't need to speak a lot, but you need to make them speak a lot, and then make connections, follow up, stay in touch. Just it's not just you go and talk to someone, exchange a business card and come home. It's not that, right? You need to talk to them, add them on LinkedIn, follow them, listen to them, talk to them frequently if possible, meet them. That is how you can stay in touch. So that is something that is not something actually, that is a key thing that you want to ensure that is happening from you if you want to scale your business and you want to grow your network to support your startup. So coming to the end of the presentation, being an entrepreneur is always a journey alone. So while being, we are doing this, we are doing that, whatever we do and whatever the startup ecosystem can bring into you, if you're not committed, if you're not having that particular collaboration and commitment towards what you do, you will fail. Whatever we do will not get, will not go anywhere if you don't have the commitment, and if you don't have the passion towards what you're doing. That's why we say it's a journey alone. We are there to facilitate, we are there to guide you, we are there to help you out in any intervention. We are there to make you we are there to support you by making connections, finding out markets for you. But it's you yourself and your team has to do it. We are there just to facilitate. So being an entrepreneur is always a journey alone. But in Sri Lanka, I would proudly say we have a really good startup ecosystem who will facilitate you free of charge. So I would want to make this note as well at the end. The programs I was telling you before are all are free. I'm not here. I'm not promoting anyone any money making money making endeavors here, because I'm not promoting anything. All those programs are free. So there's you don't need to pay anything to participate in this on those programs. So that's why a lot of uh, programs happening, a lot of entities are there to support you free of charge. But if you are committed and you are driving this particular journey, everyone will be there to support you. So that's why it's a journey alone, but you will have lot of people around you to facilitate it. Only thing is you need to have your commitment, you need to do your work, you need to have a very smart team around you and around your startups to drive that. Thank you.
Dear ma'am, thank you very much for sharing your valuable time with us, and thank you very much for your insight. All of us youngsters starting out in the field really appreciate your guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is time for clarify your questions. If you have questions, you can use the raise hand option and then we will unmute you. Feel free to ask your question, or else you can use the chat box and direct the questions to me. Since we are running out of our time, so here we will discuss few questions only. So use this opportunity. I hope there are no any questions. So we'll move on to the next end part of the session. So we have prepared a virtual token of appreciation for you, ma'am. We hope you accept it.
Thank you.
Then, as in any event, there are always those that require thanks and recognition for everything they did for making this event a success. For that, with a great pleasure, I invite the Secretary Member of IEEE Innovation Nation Sri Lanka 2021, Ms. Senuri Ranatunga, to address the gathering. Ms. Senuri, over to you.
Thank you, Sapni. Good evening to all of you. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the Innovation Nation Sri Lanka 2021. Our esteemed guest for the day, Ms. Tamasha Fernando, Senior Manager in Startup Ecosystem Development at the Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time and doing this awareness session for us. We believe our audience was able to grab a lot of information from your session. And also a special mention to Mr. Dhammika Marasinghe, Chairperson of the Student Activities Committee, IEEE Sri Lanka section, and Ms. Lihini Rajapaksha, Sectional Student Representative, for support and guidance throughout this time. To all the participants, we are very much delighted by your presence here with us today. Last but not least, this session would not be successful without the support of our organizing committee. Thank you for your support throughout this session. Once again, we all would like to extend our sincere gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you. Over to you, Sakri.
Thank you, Ms. Senuri. With that, it brings today's session to an end. Thank you and best of luck to everyone. And a special note of thanks to Mrs. Tamasha Fernando for joining with us today. And thank you to all the members of INSL 2021 and ICTA for making this event happen. I bid you all good night and stay safe.